Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's Collaborama and workshop. And we are talking about Seesaw for reading instruction today. Today, our presenters are Christy Montag from Hathaway and Margaret Sofer from Wainimi, and they're part of our academic intervention team. Today, we are going to tackle reading instruction during distance learning. We're going to take a deep dive into the Seesaw learning platform, as well as a little look into how to create instructional videos using Screencastify. I will be your moderator, and if you have questions throughout this presentation, please type them in the chat room. So let's get started, and Christy, we'll lead with you. Welcome.
All right, hello everyone out there. This is a new and interesting way to do a teacher supporting teacher. I can't see anyone, but I know you guys can see me, so hello. I'm going to go ahead and get us started with what we will cover today. So we're going to start with types of reading instructions to consider for use with Seesaw. We're going to go to finding, editing, and assigning reading activities directly in the Seesaw platform. And then we'll move on to posting your own instructional videos to student journals. And we're calling that kind of level 1 video making. And from there, we'll move on to creating more instructional videos with Screencastify and other online resources. And that's a bit of like a level 2 type video making. From there, we're moving on to creating your own activities to assign to students. And we'll move on with quite a bit of resources that we've gathered for you. And with that said, that includes this slide deck. So in the slide deck that we made for you, it's really packed full. It's a really long slide deck, but we thought it might be something you could come back and revisit. We put a lot of links in it and embedded some videos. So we're hoping it's something that you'll come back to even after we're done with today. So let's get started with types of reading instruction. When Margaret and I started thinking about using Seesaw for distance learning, our minds immediately went to instructional videos. And the fact that a lot of our kids are home and they don't have access to text the same way they do in the classroom. So the first two areas that we thought of, really, we wanted to allow students more access to high quality text. So our first thought was that with Seesaw, you can do instructional videos of read-alouds. That can be you reading the story aloud to your students, or you can have an online program like some of the ones listed here, where they can be doing the read-aloud like on the online program and the kids can be listening to it through Seesaw. I jokingly called it somewhat interactive because I love interactive read-alouds, but of course, if you're doing it through Seesaw, the students aren't right in front of you. But you can still make it interactive. Even if you're reading the book by yourself or online, you can still pause that video to do think-alouds, or you can stop to teach and model strategies for comprehension or for vocabulary development. You can still stop often to pose those open-ended questions to the students, whether that means they're at home just answering it on their own, or they might even answer it back to you on Seesaw. So those were some thoughts that we immediately went to try to send a lot of read-alouds to the students to really get the text to them. And then the other way to really give text to students is through shared reading, which is very similar to the read-alouds, but in this way, the students will be seeing the text. And in shared reading, they have that invitation to read and do the work along with you. Shared reading is the perfect opportunity to model being flexible in the use of skills and strategies, like multiple different ones while you navigate the text. And you can and should still focus on a lot of the same strategies that you would in a read aloud, but with shared reading, it also allows you to focus on print features, such as concepts of print, word study, and word solving strategies. I also love shared reading because it allows you opportunities to reread the text for multiple different purposes. So what shared reading could look like for you when you're doing an instructional video on Seesaw, you could use your own enlarged text. I could see us getting out our chart stands and putting up a nice poem to work on with the kids. Or in sharing your screen, you can use lots of different programs such as Epic, Wonders, and there's even, and Raz Plus books, of course, or Reading A to Z. And if you're a first grade or second grade teacher who is using Fountas and Pinnell guided reading and you have the online resources, they recently released all the books onto the online resources for use in the shared reading setting. Of course, they're meant for guided reading, but without having the students physically there in front of you, it's very hard to do true guided reading. So instead, you can shift it a little and use the text in a shared reading setting. From there, we started thinking about how Seesaw is really supportive for doing quick strategy lessons for students. That's where you choose your reading strategy and name it for the students. You give the why of why it's important to use that strategy. You talk about how to do it and model or demonstrate it. And then you invite the students to apply it to their independent reading. In here, we linked the cafe menu. This is the free one from the website. And that's a tool you can use that would help you identify a reading strategy that you might want to use in a strategy lesson. So if I get back into here, the last area that we really focused on within this presentation is that word study. With Seesaw, you can do instructional videos or activities that focus on any of these areas like phonemic awareness, alphabetic principles, phonics, sight words, making words, and word manipulation. We just thought, by no means are you limited to these 4 areas of instruction, but Margaret and I just used these to help us organize this presentation, and it helped us think about the types of instructional videos and activities that we wanted to create. And speaking of those, we embedded and linked a lot of videos and activities into this presentation, but we made them with the mindset of the students we serve. So the ones that we have in here, we made specifically for our first grade academic intervention students. So if you see one that does meet the needs of your students, you're more than welcome to use any of the lessons and videos that we have within here. But we realize that we're talking to teachers with students that of a variety of needs and ability levels. So our hope was that when you're looking at some of the instructional videos and activities, that you would be able to adjust them to meet the needs of your students, or possibly they could inspire you to create your own similar lessons. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Margaret, and she's going to start talking to us about the built-in Seesaw activities and how they support those areas of reading instruction.
All right, thank you everyone for spending your Friday morning with us. We really appreciate you being here. I'm going to tell you how you can tweak those activities that you see in here as well as in Seesaw to meet the needs of your own kids. Seesaw has a community with an enormous amount of activities already created by teachers and ready for you to just touch that little heart and like the activity and assign it to your students. You have the ability now to copy and edit any activity found in Seesaw. And for this part of the presentation, we will focus on copying and editing activities in the areas of read alouds and word work. Okay, so I'm going to give you some steps for adapting an activity to make it your own. So step number 1, you would open up the Seesaw app, or you would go to web.seesaw.me to find the activities. And step number 2, you'd go to the community library and you'd like an activity by tapping the heart icon. Once you do this, it will now be saved in the My Library Activity tab. And step number 3, you're going to look at that activity and you're going to click or tap on the 3 dots at the bottom right corner of the activity that you chose. And this opens up a little box and you're going to choose Copy and Edit Activity. And once you do that, the fun begins. Step number 4 is where you can actually make your changes. For example, you can change the title of an activity, you can change the student instructions, you can change the voice instructions, you can change the multimedia example, and you can even change the template that someone's made for that particular activity. But step number 5, and this is extremely important, is you have to click that save button because Seesaw does not save anything automatically for you. It's not like doing something in the Google world. You have to save. And Christy and I, when we're doing this presentation and we've made some of these activities, we found out the hard way. Because if you don't save as you go along, something could happen. Your hand can swipe your trackpad and you lose Seesaw. I had my Wi-Fi go down on me. Different things can happen. And if you're doing a video and you've spent 4 minutes on the video and something crashes, once you get Seesaw back up, if you had not saved, you're going to lose it and you have to do it all over again. So save as you go along. And step number 6, this now edited version will remain in your library for you to assign to students. So with those 6 steps in mind, I went ahead and chose some activities from the community library, and I liked them. And then I decided to make them my own. And I'm going to focus on 2 read alouds that I did. So one of the read alouds I did was called My Dream Pet. And I looked at it, I really liked it, but I thought to myself, I'm going to make some changes. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one, the original. There we go. And the way that you know it's the original is you look at the top, and if you don't see your name, if I see someone named Susan Tang, I know that this is her version. And so I have to hit copy and edit in order to change it. And that's really nice that Seesaw does that, because I never have to worry, oh my gosh, if I change this, is it going to mess up her template? It won't. Once you copy and edit, it becomes your own, and you can do whatever you want to. So I'm looking at this and I like it. It's my dream pet. Listen to the story, tap the button, write and draw, I'm looking. Oh, well, you know what? Look at number 5. I have not talked about leaving comments to my classmates yet. I have not gotten that far in Seesaw yet. So I know I don't want step number 5 in there. It's a great step. It's just not for me right now. And I also noticed down below, she did not leave voice instructions. And I work with first grade intervention. I really like to have those voice instructions embedded within every activity. And besides, it's really nice, especially with distance learning, for the kids to hear our voices. So now if you look at mine, we know it's mine because there's my name. And I changed the instructions a bit. I said, tap the drawing tool. They got to write and illustrate their dream pet. They tapped the microphone and read their response. I took out number 5, which was adding comments. And then I put in my own voice instructions, which basically told the children what to do, steps 1 through 4. And that's how I changed that activity. And now it's in my library, and I can just put it into Seesaw, and I can connect it to any students that I want to. Another read aloud that I did that I changed up is a book called The Most Magnificent Thing. I thought, what a fun book to do now when the children are home and they need some things to do, because it actually has this little girl she's creating. And in the lesson itself that Amy Cohn put in, she has them working with whatever manipulatives they have at home, whether it be Legos, boxes, paper, blankets, sticks, whatever. And they're going to make a creation. So I thought, oh, that one's for me. I'm going to grab it. Okay, but I looked at step number 4, and she put, tap the text tool and label your photo. I like that. And she wrote, or tap the microphone to tell about what you created. I want both. So I knew I was going to have to split up number 4 and do both of them, so that the children not only label their picture, they also are going to tell me about it. And I took out use lots of descriptive words, and I know that you're all going, why? But I really had not used the phrase descriptive words with my kids. So I'm going to take that one out. That meets my students' needs, I think. And I added my own voice instructions. Okay, so I think that's it. And that's how I know it's mine. So we're good. All right, so those are read alouds. And now we're going to move on to some word work activities that I went ahead and pulled out of the community and adapted as my own. And the first one is called Rainbow Words. And Rainbow Words, if you look at the top, I know it's not mine. It has the teacher's name at the top. And I loved the template. I love color, and I like, I thought how fun for the kids to write in rainbow colors. But when I looked at her directions, it said, well, first of all, it said, write your snap words. I don't use that phrase with my students. I'm thinking they're gonna write their sight words. So I changed the word snap to be sight. And then it said, number 2 said, use the drawing tool to write each word with 4 different colors. I'm guessing she wanted like a green word in one quadrant, a red word in another, purple in one, whatever. I thought how fun it would be to write different colors, each letter. So each word will be a rainbow in itself. So I changed those to kind of reflect this. And then I added my own voice instructions. So if we look at mine, I went ahead and I actually added a multimedia example, which is what you see at the top. That way the kids kind of get a clear idea, oh, I can use any colors to write the words. And then I actually read the word stomp so that they could, oh yeah, I have to read for Mrs. Sofer. And so after I did that, the template goes in. I'm sorry, my multimedia example is posted. I kept the template of the teachers. I just changed a little bit in the directions. There's no more snap words. And what else? I think that was it. I added my own voice instructions. Okay, so that is rainbow words. The next template the next activity we're gonna show you is a word family flower. And I have found that we do a lot of word family work in first grade as they're learning to read. And so I thought, I love this flower. You know, they have the little word family houses in the community, which are also fantastic. This one, they have to be a little more intuitive. They have to actually make their own words. So in this one, the teacher went ahead and made a flower, and she put the app word family in it, and she left the petals open for them to create their own app words. And the directions say, click on the drawing tools, text or draw in the words that are in the app family, you know, to your petals. And then they're going to record themselves. I love all of that. But I'm going to add my own voice instructions. And also I'm going to change the flower to reflect the word family that I'm doing. So let's take a look at my template. So in order to change this template, or in order to change this multimedia example, excuse me, it was kind of hard because I think this person did it outside of Seesaw. So the text was different, the colors that she used were different. So what I did was I went ahead and I grabbed one of the shape tools, which was the circle, and I just drew a circle over her circle. I colored it blue because I wanted to use blue. And then I took the text tool and I put it right into that circle and typed out it. And so now I have an it word family flower. And I added one more thing. I went ahead and wrote one word, the word sit, so that it's very clear what it is my students are going to be doing. But I kept in, you know, using the text or drawing, write your words, record your voices. And I did add my own voice instructions at the bottom. Okay, the next word work, this word work I was doing with my students, and it's their favorite. I can honestly say they really, really enjoyed this one. It's a lot of fun. Della Johnson is the teacher who did this one, who put it into the community that I grabbed. And for step number 2, she says, click on the drawing tool. And I thought to myself, they're gonna be clicking on the eraser. So I just want a little more clarity with that. And I went ahead and changed the icon from drawing to the eraser. And although step number 3, she was very clear, she says to use the eraser. There you go, I wanted it to reflect the actual eraser icon. And we've noticed that Seesaw has made a lot of changes to their icons. So this may not have even been available when the owner of this made her activity. So I said, use the eraser tool, click on it and write your words, reveal the rainbow. So when they touch the black screen, the rainbow colors come out and they have so much fun with it. And then remember always, well, not always, you can do what you want, but I like to add the microphone so that I'm hearing my students read what it was that they wrote. And I put in my own voice instructions. And then on the template on the bottom, I went ahead and I looked at Wonders, and I looked at, I think it was 5.1. I took the sight words from Wonders and I just put them in a little rectangle, and I added, so now my students, they're not just writing any words, because I tried that first. And when I got back where it was I, a, it, I thought, no, we need to kick this up a notch. So I went ahead and added the words that they're responsible for knowing now. And now they can look at that little blue screen, the little blue rectangle, and they can write their words and have some fun with it. And then I can use this for every single lesson that I do. If I want to do scratch art, just change the words. Okay, and the last one that I added, this was new. I have not done this one with my students yet. It was brought to us by one of our academic team members, Mindy Rosendahl. She found it and shared it with us. And it really appealed to me because we do so much work with our magnetic letters, and they're the same blue consonants and red vowels that I really liked. I thought I want to do something with this. And so Tara West is the owner of this activity, and her directions simply say, click the select tool and begin writing words and enjoy. And I think that's fabulous. But I wanted to change it to meet the needs of my students. And I actually changed the template and I made a multimedia example, as you can see up there. I did a lesson, I did a mini lesson. And I'm sorry. So I did a mini lesson on the OT word family and how important it is to learn word families and how easy it is to look at the phoneme in front of it. And I talked about blending. And then I added a template that reflected the OT word family and had them made more words of their own. Okay, and so with that, I've just shared some ways to change some activities in read alouds and word work. And before Christy takes over with going into making video lessons, I was wondering, Helen, if there had been any questions. And maybe you can unmute Christy as well, and we can both.
Okay, so there was a question. First of all, some people came in late and they're asking about what they missed at the beginning. And just to let you know, this is being recorded and the recording and the slides will be available on HESD Mission Control. Give us a little time because we have to edit the video. So it usually takes within 24 hours, we'll have it posted. So that answers several questions. With those read alouds that you shared, Margaret, are those available in the Seesaw library? I think was the question.
Yes. Yeah, if you go to the community library and you just type in read aloud, it's going to pop up so many books.
So there's also a district Seesaw library. I think the question was, are they the ones that you created, are they in our district Seesaw library?
Not yet, because this is all a lot of new creating. So Christy and I've talked about that, and we're going to be working next on getting some of these things. If they're wanted, we'll put some of them into the district library as well.
Also, can I answer?
Yeah.
Also, we will put them in there, but if you click on them within our slideshow or our resource page, it opens up and there's a little save activity next to it. If you push save activity, any of these will save into your library.
Okay. How did Margaret put the blue rectangle around the sight words on her rainbow right?
Oh, when I was in the what do you call it, Christy, with all the tools? When I'm in the editing area, I just grabbed, if on the left-hand side, you can see there's a little icon that says shapes. You click on it, it'll be shapes. And I took the rectangle shape and you can just move it over. I stretched it, made it how big I wanted to. I went over to the color palette on the right and I chose a blue color and it automatically filled it in blue. So just use the shape tools that are embedded in your template where you're fixing, I don't know, what's that template called, Christy? The drawing tools. The drawing tools.
And how did you add the video in the last Seesaw activity with the magnetic letters?
That's coming. We will teach you that.
And then, let's see. Yeah, some people are asking about how-to questions on how to use Seesaw. So what I'm going to do is direct you back to Mission Control to the Introduction to Seesaw presentation and videos there. And that will give you some basics on how to maneuver around Seesaw.
And those are also some special links that we added into our presentation at the end. There's even just basic 1.5 minute videos on kids using Seesaw. How do I take a picture? How do I make a movie? We embedded a lot of information at the end of this.
So I apologize, we're not going to be able to kind of stop and show the how-to parts of some of this because our focus today is reading instruction, but please, if you have any specific questions, you can always email Christy or Margaret on some of those how-tos, but definitely check out HESD Mission Control first because that's where the how-to basics are. All right, and we're caught up with questions.
Okay, I'll take over then. We're gonna jump in with video lessons level 1. So I'm gonna start level 1 by talking about how you can make instructional videos using the Seesaw tool. There's actually a video tool in Seesaw and you can make your own video using Seesaw and post it directly to kids. The only limitation of it is that if you use the Seesaw tool, there's a 5-minute limit. So if you think about it, this would be great for quick strategy lessons, a quick word study game or activity. And Margaret and I really like it for giving direct feedback to individual students. So it's great when you're listening to a student read or you get an activity from them to send them a quick video back, almost like you're doing a little mini conference with them. When you make these videos using the Seesaw tool, you can post it to all students, selected students, like a group of them, or to individuals. So let's look at a couple examples and then I'll walk you through how to make these videos. This is just a word study video of phonemic awareness that I made with my puppet Polly. Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Montag and this is our friend Polly. And I don't know if you remember about Polly, she does not talk the right way. Polly can only say the sounds of words and it's our job to blend those sounds together to make it be a real word. Like if Polly goes like this, at, I have to blend the word cat. That's how I get it. All right, let's try some more animals that Polly can think of. Ow. What's that word? Cow. Did you get that one? Let's try another word. Go ahead, Polly. Bird. What's that word? Bird. Did you get it? Okay. I feel so goofy. But basically, what I was able to do here is I have some of my kids who are really still working on phonemic awareness. So I just posted it to a small group of kids, 3 kids. I posted this directly to their Seesaw video, and I tried to just make it interactive for them. That's why I paused. I asked them, what's the word? I asked them, did you get it? Things like that. So I'm trying to make my video interactive for them, but it's a quick, short lesson that I just posted for them to practice. Here's Margaret doing a flip the sound strategy lesson.
Hi boys and girls, my name is Mrs. Sofer and I'm going to talk to you today about one of my favorite reading strategies, and that's called flip the sound. When you flip the sound of a letter or a combination of letters, you're changing it to make meaning in a word. Now let's take a look at some letters that actually have 2 or more sounds, or 2 sounds. We've got A. A can say A or A. E can say F or E. I can say if or I.
So Margaret goes on in the video to practice all of the sounds, and then she does get out her demo notebook, her demonstration notebook, to demonstrate trying it more than one way with the students. And then these are of course here for you to come back to later, but it would take all day if we showed you all our videos. I'm going to go ahead and zoom forward to where she actually models it while she's reading.
A farm is a plaque where, I didn't like plaque, did you? A farm is a plaque. Let's take that C and let's flip it and make a S out of it. Last. It still doesn't sound right. Well, we know A can have 2 sounds. Let's make it the long A. A farm is a place. Place. A farm is a place. That sounds right. We have made meaning from flipping the sound.
Okay, so Margaret goes on to show them a little bit more in her book how she can use that strategy. And then she ended with an invitation for the students to try that on in their own independent reading. So Margaret was able to post that directly into Seesaw for that group of kids that were working on that strategy. So before I show you how to do it, I just wanted to take a quick break and talk about posting a video versus using that video for an activity. Both of them are great to do, but sometimes I just want to talk about the purpose of sometimes you do want to just post a video. Sometimes you want to teach a quick lesson and really not require anything back from the students. And that's where, you would just post the video and not turn it into an activity. If you turn it into an activity, you're requiring them to do something back to you. Sometimes the video alone has enough embedded practice that watching it is all you really want to require. I'm thinking about the Polly one. If they were doing that with me, that was enough practice. I really don't need them to give me anything back. Sometimes you leave those open-ended invitations. That's what I was talking about with Margaret, who was saying like, okay, go ahead, try that on your own reading. Now it would be cool if they sent you a video back of them reading, but sometimes you just want to just open that invitation. You try it and not make them. And then I love the last one. Like, let's not forget, we always have done read alouds purely for enjoyment in our classrooms. Sometimes you want to make videos just for enjoyment, or a quick check-in video where you're just saying hello to your kids. They miss you. So just showing them your face and doing that. So these are reasons why you might just post a video. But then again, these videos that you're making can also be turned into activities. So here's how to post a video using the Seesaw tool. You need to open the app on your iPad or the website. Always going to go to the plus add button. That's where you want to add things to open up the tools. There are different ways you can post. I like to post straight to student journals. I know other teachers have different preferences. You can also send it as an announcement or put it in the blog, but I choose post to student work because then it pops up right on their journal, and that's what my students are used to. From there, you're gonna see a screen pop up with lots of tools. Just select the video tool. It's gonna open up the camera for you. I love doing it on the iPad. It's a lot more simple. And what you're gonna see is 3 little cameras swirling around, and that's just because they're giving you different spots to hit it. If you're using your iPad and make sure it's in selfie mode so you can see yourself, and then you start your video. You can pause it during it and restart if you need to, but whenever you're finished, hit that button to kind of end the recording, and then the green check is always the submit check. You hit the green check. You can caption your video if you choose to. On the Polly one, I wrote a caption that said, "Let's make words with Polly," something like that, but you don't have to. And then after you get to this green check, a screen pops up for you to choose which students you're going to post it to. You can post it to all the students in your class, selected students, or just to one. And that's kind of how to use the Seesaw tool to make a video. So now I'm still going to stay in level 1 videos, but I'm going to talk to you about making the video on your device and then posting it to Seesaw. Here's the real reason why you might want to do that. It allows you longer videos. Remember, Seesaw limits you to 5 minutes. That doesn't really work for read alouds. So this allows you to make those longer videos and then upload them. Another real benefit of it is that they can be stored for reuse. Once you make the video, it's saved directly onto your iPad or laptop, and then if you want to, you do not have to, but if you like to, you can then upload it and save it into Google Drive as well. I know Margaret and I really like to do that just because most of our instruction is organized within the drive, so I tend to always move it over there. This is really best for any type of lesson, especially with the longer time limits. I've had some read alouds go up to 10 minutes, some shared reading up to 15 minutes, and I've still been able to upload it easily. And you can still post to all students, selected students, or to individuals. So let's look at a few examples of this. This one was just created on my iPad. It's similar to the other one, but I wanted to show, you just need to use the tools you have in your house. Sorry, I'm sticking my tongue out on this one, but I just grabbed an iPad. I made a visual for my kid and for my students, and I made this video.
Hi, boys and girls. My name is Miss Montag, and today we're going to do an activity called blending words. I'm going to tell you some words that I have segmented into 3 parts. I'm going to tell you the sounds, and I want you to try to blend the word. Let's practice one. What if the sounds go like this? What's the word? Cat. Hopefully you could blend that one. I'm going to do more now, and I want you to try to say the word before I do. Are you ready to try? Here's some sounds. Fish. What's the word? Fish.
So again, I'm just showing that I'm trying to make it interactive for the students. I'm whispering things like, "What's the word? Did you get it? Try to beat me." And then I was able to upload that to Seesaw for the students who are still working on that goal. Here's an example of a read aloud. Hi, boys and girls. This is Miss Montag, and I'm here today to read you a book called Duck on a Bike by David Shannon. And I'm reading this with permission from Scholastic. So before we read it, though, I wanted to talk to you about strategies that readers use to help them understand the story better and to keep their interest in the story. And that's doing deep thinking about the characters. Readers can pay attention to different things about the character. You can pay attention. Okay, I'll stop that one here. I just wanted to show you, I don't have a chart stand here at home. I don't have chart paper, but I do have a piece of paper. So I just made a little mini anchor chart for my students to use for this little mini lesson. And then once I did a little bit of teaching, I just kind of got into the text, and you can see I'm reading pages and stopping to do think aloud or talking to them about strategies.
You are going, duck. Then Duck rode past Goat. Hello, Goat, said Duck. Nah, said Goat. But what he thought was, I'd like to eat that bike.
So I'm just mirroring what happens in the classroom. I mean, you want to show your students the pictures, and you want to be reading with fluency and doing your think aloud. So it's the same as the classroom, it's just to a video. Here's Margaret doing a strategy lesson.
Hi, boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Soper, and I'm a teacher in the Wainini School District, and I work at Wainini Elementary School. And I'm going to do an activity today with you that has to do with a reading strategy that is one of my favorites, and that is learning to blend and segment. And when I think about why do I want to learn this strategy, well, it's a great strategy for beginning readers, but it's also a really good strategy for readers who have a lot of sight words and who have learned how to put context into their reading, and they can figure out words just by looking at the context. It's also for those readers because there will come a time when you'll find a word that you just can't figure out, and you might need to blend and segment.
So Margaret goes on to give them the why, and then she starts kind of the guided practice.
And let's get started. Okay, the way we're going to do this is I'm going to tap on a letter, and we're going to do the sound. So this would be B, A, J. Next, I'm going to blend those sounds together and go badge. I did that nice and slowly, didn't I? But now I'm going to read it. And I'm just going to say badge. Okay, let's do another one. Oh,
And as Margaret goes on with the video, she kind of gets faster and pushes more of the work on her students. Even though it's a video, she's trying to be interactive with them and push the work onto them. And so she posted that to a group of students that were working on that particular strategy. And the last one is just a quick strategy group using, something that I had sent home with the students.
Hi, boys and girls, it's Miss Montag, and today I wanted to talk to you about a strategy that you have been working on with me that I want you to make sure you continue to use while you're at home, and that's cross-checking. I sent home with you your cross-checking bookmarks, so I just wanted to go over it with you and remind you how to use it and make sure that you are using it when you're reading your books at home.
Okay, so this again was sent to like a select group of kids, and so on here, you'll see me demonstrate it within a book. I try, after I explain the strategy, I demonstrate it into a book, I model it. And then at the end, this is what I was talking about why I wanted it just to be a video. I just invited them to try it in their independent reading. I'm not requiring them to send me something back. I just want to remind them to use it.
Make sure you're being a good reading detective and you're trying to really solve the words that the author wrote in the story. So make sure you use this when you're reading at home with your books that you have or your books your teacher or I sent home with you. Happy reading, work on cross-checking. Bye for now.
So let's just go into how to do this, how to make a video on your device and then post it to Seesaw. It's very similar to how you did it when you were using the Seesaw tool. You still need to open the app or the website. You still go to that green plus where you want to add something. And again, you still choose how you want this to post. I post it directly to students' journals so that the work is there for them. This is where it changes. This time when the screen opens up with all the tools, you want to choose the upload tool. That's how I do it. You can also do a link. There's another tool for that, but I always use the upload tool. You then can upload the video straight from your device. Like in an iPad, it would be, you're going to find it in Photos and upload it. Or if you moved it to Google Drive, you can upload it from Google Drive. The longer videos, because remember a lot of these we're using them because it's more than 5 minutes, sometimes it takes a while to process. There actually was a few times where I walked away from my computer or iPad and just did something else and came back and waited for that to process. But once your video uploads, you hit the green check and you decide which students you want to send it to. So that's kind of the end of videos with level 1. I'm now going to shift to level 2. Should I pause for questions, Helen, or can I keep going? What do you think?
Keep going at this time.
Okay, so I just want to say before I go into this one is really going to be using Screencastify, and that's not the focus of this presentation that we did. So if you're not familiar with Screencastify, don't worry, just take this in and absorb it and see if it's something you're interested in. There are other trainings on Screencastify that we can direct you to. With that said, I'm not going to do a lot of teaching about Screencastify, but I'm going to show you how it's so supportive to the videos for Seesaw. So this time when I'm making videos, I want to use Screencastify, and here's why. Screencastify allows you to use your laptop within an instructional video. It shows them the laptop in the video. It also has the option for you to embed a webcam, like a little tile of you that can be on the screen. And again, that's optional. I like to do that a lot with my videos in Screencastify just because that's my connection with the kids and it helps with engagement. Screencastify has its own options to help you make your presentation, including its own tools. I really love this because if you don't have a book that fits the lesson that you want to do, you know, we're limited with the books we have here at home. This allows you to share your screen while showing a book from any website. And I listed a few here, especially Raz Plus or Reading A to Z. You can also create a lesson or activity in any program and use that to make your video. I've done a lot of lessons in Google Slides and then made a Screencastify video over it, or different documents and done it that way. So here are some quick examples. We're not going to show you the whole thing, but this was a Screencastify lesson using a document.
Hi, boys and girls, it's Miss Montag. I just wanted to talk to you about another reading strategy that I want you to practice while you're at home, and that's using letter buddies. I gave you a special sheet.
So I'm going to kind of move on to where I start getting interactive with them. I explained to them what this is, but I just created this document with the letter buddies that I have taught them. I call them letter buddies for the kids, but I have previously taught these in my classroom with my groups. So I wasn't able to send it home with everyone. So this is me showing it to them and working on it with them on a document.
We're going to start with the H brothers. Let's start over here with TH. The thumb, shovel, chair, whale. Let's move down to the R sisters. This one goes R.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there. You do not need to hear all that. But what I wanted to show you is I have that embedded webcam, and that's really good for this one because I do like them to see my face while I'm making the sounds. And I also wanted to show you, you know, as you have a doc open or a PDF, you move it up and down. You use your computer just like you would use it. You're just now making a video of that. So that's part of why I love Screencastify. This one was just to show you that you can pull in other resources. This is a read aloud from Epic. But to make it interactive, I still did a book introduction and I still stopped a few times throughout that read aloud and to interact with my students.
Hi, boys and girls, it's Miss Montag, and today I wanted to read with you a book that I used to read when I was a little girl. It's titled Harry the Dirty Dog.
So you can see my webcam is still embedded, and I wanted to show you, you can move it. You can move it anywhere on your screen where you want it to live while you're making a Screencastify, and you can even lose it. So I'm gonna go here to like 43 about, and I decided to get rid of it so they could focus on the text.
Our reading.
You just exit out if you don't want your webcam in there anymore. And then if I kind of go to here, it's showing you a part where, you know, you can pause it and talk to your students. So at this point I had paused it and then
flying around while he was digging as quickly as he can. I wonder what he's digging for and what will happen next.
He found the scrubbing brush and carrying it in his mouth, he ran into the house.
So you can see when you're doing a Screencastify, you have that opportunity to just stop videos and interact with your kids during them. This is a Screencastify with a Google slide.
We're going to play a game today called Let's Try a Word Ladder. When you make a word ladder, we're going to take one word and change it to a new word.
when we change the word, we need to think, what sound will change? So I wanted to show you this one because there's a couple of things. If you are using Google Slides and you go into present mode, you can't embed your webcam anymore. So oftentimes if I'm doing an introduction, I just do my introduction first, then push present, and then the webcam falls away. I also wanted to show you this one because that cool spotlight tool is a Screencastify tool. So that's a tool you can use with Screencastify to spotlight that. So I'll just jump kind of into the middle and show you how I interacted with the students of this word ladder. We're going to change chap. Instead of chap, I wanted to say chip. Which sound will change to make the word chip? Did you think of the middle sound? Instead of an ah, we wanted to have I for the word chip. Let's try reading our word ladder. Rug, bug. Okay, so it just goes on with that guided practice for the students to work on those type of things. So the last one I wanted to show you that I love integrating with Screencastify is the projectable books from Reading A to Z. This one, I did not use the tools from Screencastify. On this one, I used the Reading A to Z tools. And what you can do is using the tools on the side of Reading A to Z, you can prep your book ahead of time for the teaching points that you want to do, and then go back to the beginning and start your Screencastify video and use those teaching points to teach your students. Let me show you an example. They needed a house. They do, they need a house. Or it could say they needed a home. Both of those sound right and they make sense, but I'm not sure which one the writer chooses. So the only way to know is to check it with our eyes. Let's see which word this writer picked. Oh, he did home when I look at the sounds. So now I can back up and reread. Once upon a time, 4 friends needed a home. So I just wanted to show you that that's a hiding tool right here on Reading A to Z. If you hide the words before you start your lesson, you can think about what sounds right, what makes sense, and then you can X out the little hidden square, and then you can check it with your eyes. So that's a great way to solve words with the students. You can also prep your books with text. On this one, I prepped it with a word that would help us use analogy to get to another word. Things, donkey sang. Yeah. Oh, that's a strange word. Wait, I know a word that looks just like it. This word is play. If I know play, I can change the front and get this new word. Play changes to bray. Bray. So that's just some of the tools within Reading A to Z. So you can see how it lends itself perfectly to making a Screencastify shared reading video. There's so much work you can do within that program. With that said, there is a how-to sheet at the end of this where it really explains how I did all the things on here. So I can't show you that now, but I did a step-by-step how-to with little screenshots that will be in the resources. So I'm kind of go fast over this, how to post a video with Screencastify, because if you haven't used it, this isn't going to make sense, but you can definitely come back and look. You create your lesson in any program or you open it from your website. You have to have added the extension. And once you do, you push that extension to get it started. You choose your settings and you hit record. Go ahead and do your lesson, just record it. And when you're ready to stop your lesson, you hit that extension one more time and then you push the stop button. And when you push that stop button, that video opens in another window and it automatically saves to your Google Drive. I'm not going to go over this screen, but I put a few tips and tricks for you that if you like using Screencastify, I recommend you come back and take a little peek at this. And if you have any questions, you can email me. So I know that was a lot, but I'll pause for questions and then I'll be sending it to Margaret to work on creating your own activities.
Christy, we have a teacher that uses Screencastify, but when she records, she only gets 5 minutes. How did you change the settings to allow for a longer recording?
Okay, so this is really important. Back on that first screen where I introduced Screencastify, I put a link to Liz's page for Screencastify. In the pre-flight Screencastify page, that was really hard to say, when you first open it, Liz says at the top, there's a code for you to get the upgraded Screencastify. You need to look at that and use the code for the upgraded Screencastify.
Okay. And Sarah wanted everybody to know that she highly recommends the how-to Screencastify sheet, that she uses it, and it's really makes it easy to make videos and create activities in Seesaw.
Thank you, Sarah.
And that's all the questions.
Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Margaret for creating your own activities.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about creating activities off of one book. Let's take a look. So when I was doing this, I love Kids A to Z, Raz Kids. So I went into the program and I went to the leveled books, and because I know basically what level my students are at. And I chose a level F book, and I wanted to pick a book that they would have some sort of a connection to. And I thought, well, in this area, we have farming going on, so I chose the food chain. I thought students should be able to make predictions off of this book. We'll do some great comprehension, and we'll end with some fluency. So I took this one book, and I downloaded it as a projectable. So when you go into Kids A to Z, you have the choice up on the left to download it as a projectable. This allows you then to, it'll come out nice and big. You can touch on the pages, you can read them. And the best thing about it is if you're doing a Screencastify over it and you've got the book open, the students can see the letters, they can see the words nice and big, and you can literally do a shared reading with them now. It's not just to read aloud. You can delve into those words. You can talk about things like flip the sound. You can do letter combinations. You can talk about connecting the beginnings of words to a picture to figure out a word. There's so many strategies that you can do once you're able to have that language there for the kids to see. All right, so let's look at the food chain making predictions. So I thought, you know, if my students are going to be making predictions, I'd like to hear them listen to me make predictions first. So I went ahead and made a multimedia example, and I went to the same level. I just chose a different book, and I just spend several minutes talking about the cover and what do I see, and I talk it through. I'm thinking, and the students get to hear me thinking, so that when it's their turn to do a prediction on the actual book that we're going to be doing, the food chain, they're prepared for it.
Can you hear it? Tell me if you hear it.
I'm going to be making predictions on this story, which is called Are You From Brazil? And before I ever read a book, I want to make sure that it's something that I might have some prior knowledge about, some background information. And with this one, I do. As I'm looking at these trees, I'm guessing this might be about a rainforest. And I'm guessing that because it's very
fine. And I would just, you know, I'm just going to put a plug in here. If any of you are at all nervous or anxious about putting your voice on these videos, I sound like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. So, you know, just go in there and do it. The kids are going to love it no matter how you sound. All right, so there's my template on the bottom. Now the students are ready to go in. They do their own predictions and they're looking at it, and they're talking because they've heard me do it. So I hope they'll have success with predictions. Now this is a lead-in to actually listening to the story being read to them. So my next lesson, I chose to do a comprehension lesson. And so now I'm actually doing a 7.5 minute, I think, read of the book, The Food Chain, but I did a Screencastify over it because if I did it in Seesaw, I'd only have 5 minutes. And the kids get to see the page, they see the words, I get to work with those words and do lots of strategies. So it's a nice full lesson. And once I'm done, now that I can ask, hey, now that we've read this together, I want you to tell me 2 things you learned. So my template that I included on this was just to give 2 facts that they learned about the food chain. And so then I thought, well, we've listened to the book once. I kind of like them to listen to it again. So I'm going to now take that multimedia example and I'm just going to put it right back into my 3rd lesson. So I haven't had to read any other books, and it's been the same book, and it's good for them to listen to the literature twice. And with this lesson, the 3rd lesson, I figure they've seen the words, they know the language, they know the content. They're going to be able to read this now, and it is at their level because I took a leveled book. So now I'm able to copy and put a page into this template, which is what I did here. And I've already talked about those words. And one of my things, I actually took the word live. And I did a flip the sound where, I said, is it live or live? And we talked about making sense of the word within the context of the sentence. And now I tell them in my template, I tell them in the directions, read it several times until you can read it smoothly, and tape record yourselves and send it to me. So now I get to hear my students read, and I know I've fully prepared them to be able to have success with it. All right, and that's just using one book, taking it from, you could do Epic, but I took it from Kids A to Z, and doing a screencastify over it and having 3 lessons over it. I think I would just take this and I would do it for the week. They would have the food chain and they'd have those 3 lessons stretched out over the week. And the last thing I'm going to leave for you is a couple of reading activities. I love read alouds. I think during this time when we're not with our students, we need to be providing those as much as we possibly can. And I did a read aloud on the book called I Like Me. And it's a comprehension strategy, but I read it to the students and we just talked about how important it is to like yourself, how it's okay to fail at something and that you're going to learn from it. And we just talked about it in depth. And then in my template, I said, I try new things. And so in the directions, I told them, draw yourself trying something new. And then on the right-hand side, I just said, draw a picture of yourself. I like myself. So that's just a fun read aloud that I turned into an activity by adding a template to it. Okay, and the last one is There's a Nightmare in My Closet. Oh, I thought, gosh, how great it is to talk to kids about conquering their fears. We know they all are having some pretty big anxiety moments right now. And I thought, in this book, this young man, he's scared of being in the dark. He's scared of having his closet door open because he's afraid there's a nightmare in there. But he learns to overcome his fears. And it's just a great read aloud with the kids to talk about finding that bravery within you and overcoming those fears. And I did a template that I said, just write about a time that you were brave. And of course, they'll submit it to me. And then I can send them back, hey, that was great that you were able to be brave and tell me about that time. We can talk. So with that, Christy's going to continue with some more activities.
Okay, so Margaret has just showed us a shared reading type of video, like lesson and activities and some read alouds. So we started thinking, like, what if we had a little tool to help you create your own ideas for responding to activities, to responding to reading. So on this side, we just kind of started brainstorming a totally not complete list, but a beginning list of the types of responses you might ask students to do after you do a read aloud or a shared reading. And we also linked in here the comprehension conversation prompts from a training we had done a long time ago with even more prompts that you could be able to use for activities. And it's not opening, but that's okay. So these are the types of things that you could be asking your students you could be asking them to respond like this in an activity. And then your other thing you want to think about is, okay, well, how do I want my students to respond? Do you want them to post a video? Do you want them to use the drawing tools to write and draw? They can create something on their own and use the camera tool to take a photo of it and record a voiceover over it. There's a notes tool that looks like lined paper and they can type right on there. So you want to think, like, what are you asking them to do first, and then how do you want it to look? And so that's how you can attach assignments to your video lessons. These are just some ways to do that. And then I'm going to jump into here. I promise I'm not going to open all these, but what I wanted to do was have this for you to refer to later. That's why I said remember. So remember that 4 friends video I showed you earlier. Well, I made 3 activities to go with it. One's a reading response where I gave them a choice of responses, and when they open it, they can write and draw. One, I did that same video. I posted it in there again, and this time I pulled out some of the words for them to practice and do word work. I used that same video again, and I pulled out one of the pages like Margaret did, and I was going to have them reread it for fluency and send that to me. Here's where that how-to sheet is, where it explains how I made the video and how I made the activities. That's it goes step by step, and it has screenshots in it. So I'm hoping it will help you. On this one, remember the word study video with the word ladder with the little spotlight? Well, I put that video into the activity and then I Googled word ladders and I found like a worksheet on word ladders. I just put that straight in and that's now my activity. The kids can change the sound on the worksheet with their little pen tool. Remember the video of blending sounds that I did on the board? I made my own little blending sound template onto Seesaw as an activity, and the kids can look at the picture and blend the sounds as something that I'm asking them to do as a requirement. When I showed you the Letter Buddies video, I turned that into an activity by putting the sheet in there and asking the kids to use the microphone and send it back to me. So those are ways where I took the video lesson, but I actually turned it into an activity where I was requiring them to send me something back. There's just one more area that I want to show you quickly, which is a word study activity. And because I made a how-to sheet for this one as well. This word study activity I created is just, can you beat the teacher? I made it for LLI sight words. That's what we use in academic intervention. But I wanted to show it to you because you can change it to any words you're practicing with the kids. So if I make it big, the Screencastify video is just the words in my Google slide and I'm asking them to beat me. Let me go to 35, and this is kind of where I start. You can see in the introduction, I didn't push present yet because I wanted them to see my face during that introduction. But as soon as I start presenting, my face goes away. That's part of the thing of using Screencastify with
All right.
Google Slides.
Here comes the first word. Get ready and see if you can beat the teacher. Big. Did you get it? Let's try the next one. Mom. Did you say it before I did? Let's keep going.
So on here, I'm just going through my words and they're gonna try to beat me. Some of the words I stop and do a little extra teaching on them, but otherwise it's just, can you beat the teacher? It's a quick video. And then the template is just all the words from my video that I want them to practice and try to record. And I even tell them, if you don't know one, just say, I don't know. And then that allows me to give them immediate feedback on the ones that are tricky for them. I thought that that might be something that you could change for any words you use. So I did make again, a really step-by-step how-to sheet of how I created that activity in case it's something you might want to try to create. I guess we're done with our activity section and we're moving. We're just going to show you quick resources, but I guess I should check in with Helen.
No questions so far.
Yay. Okay.
We are just about done. We've attached some resources for students into our presentation. So if you have not done Seesaw with your students yet, and this is starting to stress you out, you can teach your kids to take a photo by using one of these videos and just putting it into Seesaw. There's a photo on taking, there's a video on taking photos and adding their voice. There's a photo on making videos. They're all very short and they're specifically for the students that you can just upload on Seesaw or however you're communicating to them, and they can look at those videos. Videos for logging in. We know that the Seesaw home codes it's probably okay now, but I know last week it was a bit difficult. So there's a video from Liz on how to do those home codes. There's switching between Seesaw classes. Your kids may have 2 children that they toggle back and forth from on their Seesaw page under their classes. So this shows them how to do it. It's by Christy. And then there's a how to do an activity in Seesaw from Christy, because we realize that if you haven't done Seesaw before, your students may not know how to do an activity. So she actually did a short video on how to do a Seesaw activity.
And so I'll jump in and talk about resources for teachers. Don't forget the HESD distance learning site. There's the pre-flight Seesaw page, the pre-flight Screencastify. That's where you want to start if you're new to these different programs. And then if you kind of already have checked that out, get to the virtual professional development. That's all the additional trainings we've had. And there's areas for Seesaw and Screencastify in there. There's also the Seesaw Help Center and the webinars that are in there. There's a great video on how to create your first activity if you're new to that. And if you're looking at how to put the little pictures, the icons in there, this is Margaret linked this icons sheet, and it helps you code those icons in there. Like if you want to have add response, the little icon, you have to put the colon, you write add and the colon again, and then it's like coding. It pops that icon in for you into your directions. The Seesaw library is great. We, again, put the cafe menu down here at the bottom for you. And then this is, because there's so many resources in the slides, it might be hard for you to find them. Margaret compiled them all onto one sheet in a Google document. So every website we've directed you to and every video and activity we've shown you in this slide deck is now on a sheet, if that makes it easier for you to find things. And we just left you with our contact information if you have any questions.
All right, so let's end this with some compliments. One teacher wrote, wow, wow, wowie. The expertise and dedication to students and colleagues is gold. This person writes, they'll miss having AI teachers on campus, but she's glad that you're here no matter what your role, that you're always willing to help. And says that you're ready for your own PBS special or YouTube channel. So let's see. Lots of questions, where to get these links. Remember, these slides will be posted on HESD Mission Control. You go to the Blast Off tab and then Professional Learning for PD. And all these go to this particular presentation, and you will be able to access everything that was shared today. Thank you for all your kind words on chat. We appreciate it. I want you to know Christy and Margaret put so many hours into this production today, and it was only an hour of presentation and probably took 40 hours to create. So thank you so much. As I said on chat, please take the time to slowly go through the slides and check out all the great links. Do it slowly, go slowly. I want everybody to take a deep breath, relax, enjoy this beautiful Friday, take care of yourself, and hopefully we'll see you back online Monday. Again, Christy and Margaret, thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank you all. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.